Hello, and welcome to what we're calling Episode 0 of our homebrew Dungeons and Dragons based role playing extravaganza. My name is David. I'll be your host and game master for this 6 sessions of fun. With me are our 4 players, starting from the United States. Connor, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Connor, and for the purposes of this game, I will be playing Bardeed Fingersmith, a human cleric of the trickery domain.
All right. From Toronto, Ontario, Jason. Say hi, Jason.
Starting center. I'm going to be playing a some sort of bard? Question mark. We'll figure it out.
We have a lot to figure out, and that's why we're here testing this system. Our good friend Ryan, the creator, is not able to be here, but we will be recording all manner of questions for him, and we'll be back next time to answer them and get on with the game. Tonight, we're mostly just making characters, walking through, trying to set up backgrounds that interact with each other. Just the kind of thing that really should happen before every role-playing session, and so rarely does. Yep. Continuing with introductions, local Jeff.
Hi guys, I'm Jeff. I'm going to be playing Zarcius, a investigative background shadow sorcerer, half elf.
All right, wonderful. And last but far, far, far from least, my wonderful wife, Jen. Hello.
Hi guys, how you doing? I'm Jen. I'm going to be playing a Squirrelkin rogue who is still in need of a name, so we should have like one of those contests that the zoo does for naming baby pandas. I don't know.
All right. Now that we've met everyone, I'm going to be reading a little bit of world background. As I mentioned, this is a homebrew world using the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition system. Yes, this one. Ooh, brand new book. Isn't it lovely? All right. So.
Beautiful.
History. In times of yore, before the great extinction, great beasts roamed the lands unopposed. Their magic ran in the veins of the earth itself, bringing about all kinds of majestic phenomena all over the world. However, the merciless march of time pushed forward, and, as so, the great extinction happened. No one knows why or how. All that is known is that it happened long ago. Long ago. Buried bones are found all over the world, showing parts of those great beasts of yore. In time, the new species and races began to appear and develop. No one is sure who appeared first. Many believe it was the dwarves, but that is a debate for the academics to ponder. In any case, eventually, they were driven underground. Humans created tribes all around the world, spreading slowly through the continents. Eventually, some humans arrived at old archipelagos filled with magic of times past. Eventually, they evolved, part by the magic, part by nature, into a new race known as the elves. That's an interesting take. We'll have to keep that one in mind.
Yeah, you're paused for us, hon.
In times of yore, before the great extinction, great beasts roamed the lands unopposed. Their magic ran in the veins of the earth itself, bringing about all kinds of majestic phenomena all over the world. However, the merciless march of time pushed forward, and as so, the great extinction happened. No one knows why or how. All that is known is that it happened a long time ago. Long, long ago. Buried bones all over the world show parts of these great beasts of yore. In time, the new species and races began to appear and develop. No one is certain who appeared first. Many believe it was the dwarves, but that is a debate for the academics to ponder. In any case, eventually, they were driven underground. Humans created tribes all around the world, spreading slowly through the continents. Eventually, some humans arrived at old archipelagos, filled with magic of times past. In time, they evolved, part by magic, part by nature, into a new race known as the elves. During time, the races grew as the fae and fairies appeared in the land. They came from a distant place, possibly even a distant plane that birthed them. Initially, humans mistook them for a race of dwarves, which led to problems in itself. As humans grew and expanded, birthing kingdoms and empires, the dwarves remained isolated below ground. Their isolationism and secrecy led to increasing suspicion among and mistrust with humans. Kingdoms split and empires fell. Technology developed with time, known as magitech, the mixed premise of elven high magic with human technology. The dwarves learned similar arts inside their halls of stone, relying instead on the innate magic reservoirs found deep within the land that they learned to harness and utilize. Peace brings prosperity and advancement. War brings sorrow. And war came. The first great war began on the shores of the land. A disagreement between human kingdoms sparked a conflict. Allies tried to intervene, only to be caught in the crossfire. From there, it expanded to the nearby countryside, and slowly began to infect every corner of the globe. The war brought about chaos in the political landscape, and the Samahid Empire, the greatest human empire, found itself losing considerable ground to its many enemies. Human republics, the Dwarven Confederacy, and the Elven Union. Brought to the brink of despair, desperately trying to hold their power as fires of revolution also started to spread in their lands. Then came the arcane bomb, an experimental weapon made to shut down magic for a time, and even worse, destroy a huge area of land. The Samarids launched it into the heart of the Elven archipelago. I can't pronounce that tonight. Archipelago, there we go. To catastrophic effects. The ancient magic stored there, combined with the experimental magic of the Chaos Bomb, caused it to go wild. Surges of wild magic and horror grew all over the world in what was later known as the Night of 1,000 Lights. And just like that, the world was changed forever. The Samahids stopped the war, but not their downfall. Instead, they enveloped the rest of the world in their growing madness, and ensured none could escape its true horrors. Now, the disparate kingdoms could barely fight the new monsters pouring in from the abyss, and the nightmarish creatures created by the chaos magic. The world was reborn that day, changed from a land covered in strife to one consumed by it. Once the creatures from beyond the veil began to enter the material plane for the first time, the world would never recover, as majestic fae and monstrous demons came in almost equal numbers. They came wave after wave, some out of curiosity, some for adventure, and others still for malice that those who came before could never have dreamt of. So that is our ancient history. The world has recovered to a large degree since. We find ourselves in a known world dominated by 5 races, 5 cities. There are the dwarves, based out of Fort Garnet, the goblins, based out of Yikalark, the fae, who congregate in Squall's Den, the humans of Frostbite, and the elves, who dwell in Scythe Essari. Now, these are not the only cities. as we will find begin in the city of Copperfield. And let's get the magician jokes out of the way now if we need to.
At least none of us are named David.
Well, yeah. So, humans tend to live in the colder regions. The goblins are looked down upon by most other races as a second-class people. Elves, as we learned, are actually descendants of humans, not a far ancient race from before. And half-elves exist, as far as we've known. We're also in a world where we have foxkin, squirrelkin, and there are still dwarves. There are gnomes in the world, there are trolls, there are tengu creatures, which rather than, in most cases, being based on birds, are actually bat people. We may meet some of them down the line. Copperfield we will learn more about in time. It is not a massive city. It has, in fact, 26 buildings. For some reason, we're going to need to have the four of you together at the beginning of the scenario in Copperfield. So, let's take a look at some of the D&D system tropes that we're going to be dealing with. All right, so we've heard everyone's race, but let's refresh everyone's memory on race and class, starting with Jen.
Okay, I am a squirrelkin rogue, whose name is provisionally right now Chi-Chi. And if there's food to be had in any possible vague chance, I'll be there.
All right, Jeff. Just name and class for now.
Half-elf sorcerer.
Half-elf sorcerer. Connor.
Human cleric.
Jason.
Probably half-elf bard.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will be beginning at level 1, but the nature of the scenario is such that, barring any changes from Ryan, I plan to be running each session as a short self-contained chapter in a bigger story. And in order to get some sense of how the characters and the custom races and classes develop, we can expect to be basically leveling up every session. So you will get to see your character develop quite quickly over the 5 games we play. Now, did everyone work out their ability scores?
Yes.
Just quickly tell us your best scores and maybe your weakest. Connor?
Sure. Bardeed's best scores are his wisdom. He has a 16 in wisdom, and he has a 15 charisma. Lowest score is his strength. He has a 9. He is fast and wiry, but not particularly burly.
Okay. Jason?
Yeah, highest is charisma, lowest is strength, though maybe I'll switch to something a little heavier. We'll see where this goes.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It is going to be a question of who's at the front hitting things at some point.
Yeah, well, I know this archetype is supposed to be a melee archetype, but I think that comes online at level 3. So,
which can be rough for...
Yes. So we'll see where this goes. I might switch to something else.
All right, Jeff?
I have 16 intelligence and 16 charisma, so heavy on investigation and arcana and deception, intimidation, persuasion. My strength is my lowest score.
Seeing a pattern.
Yeah.
Jen?
It's a lot of ranged attacks, guys. It's no problem.
16 int, 16 dex, 8 strength.
All right.
Well, in this system, any weapons with the finesse trait can be used with dex for damage and to hit. So
We
I
were
mean,
discussing that, yes, and I will take a moment to point out that Jeff is the resident rules expert, so we may be deferring to him at times when we're not sure how things work. All right, so let's.
I mean,
Hmm?
I was just going to say, unless you're planning on wearing heavy armor, strength is really a decent dump stat because you can just attack with dex. And in a lot of cases with the different classes, you can actually sometimes attack with charisma or wisdom or whatever, depending on whether you have a cantrip or some of the classes give, like the warlock can use their packed weapon to attack with charisma, etc. So it's not such a big deal.
Yeah, the bard archetype has charisma hit and damage at level 3.
So you might be able to get by on dex fighting in the meantime, if that's something
exactly.
you want to do.
I think you also get medium armor at level 3 as well. So
Oh yeah.
well, assuming we survive. So
Yeah, that won't be bad. And the only the limit on medium armor is you can only have a +2 dex max, and you have disadvantage. Some of the medium armors have disadvantage on stealth.
For those of
all
you
heavy
who
armor
are
does.
unfamiliar with Dungeons and Dragons at all, advantage and disadvantage are used when you have basically an advantage or disadvantage on a roll. But what that means mechanically is if you're rolling a standard d20, you would roll 2 dice, and if you have advantage, you would take the higher. If you have disadvantage, you would take the lower.
yeah,
mathematically, that equals essentially a +5 bonus.
Yeah, I've not played 5th edition before, but I played a lot of Pathfinder, so I definitely spent some time before this brushing up on the rolls. So
Yes, I will admit my experience lies more with Pathfinder, but we're all going to learn together, if nothing else. So let's just talk about any of the special tricks your characters can do right now. Like, what is your character's thing? What does he do? What is his shtick?
Probably mostly. I've got an array of cantrips that I can use in combat. So, for instance, I have Firebolt, which is a basic to hit spell, and Acid Splash, which is a save spell. So, I've got, if something's really hard to hit, you can just make a saving throw, that type of thing. So I've got that kind of versatility there. And then at first level, I have Chaos Bolt, which is a pretty good to hit spell, which does a various damage. So you roll 2d8, and one of the d8s is the type of damage, and the other is the damage. So it's a pretty good first level spell. And
Sounds
then I have
good.
Mage Armor as well. So
Connor, what is your character basically?
and with the theme of the chaos. Oh, I was just saying with the theme of the chaos war with the bomb and all that, that might Chaos Bolt might be an interesting spell because of the chaotic magic.
That I will have to keep that in mind. Yes. And Connor.
My cleric is a cleric of Soon, who is one of the goddesses, one of the gods who exist in this setting. He is a cleric of the trickery domain. So he does possess a few domain spells that allow him to kind of charm people, and he can disguise himself as well. He also possesses something that I'm sure our Squirrelkin rogue is going to quite enjoy. They're probably going to get to know each other very well as he repeatedly grants her the blessing of the trickster, which allows a character to gain advantage on stealth rolls for up to an hour, which will come in very handy if we have to sneak around. And as a charlatan, he also possesses with the charlatan background, he actually possesses a false identity. that he has the disguise for, which is an exiled prince from a foreign land that you've never heard of.
Does he need my help to get money across the border?
Yes, if you can take on, if you can deposit, 1,400 gold pieces into your account, it will allow you to keep 20%. It only has to stay there for about, for 48 hours.
Jen, what are some of the neat things about your character?
Well, I've never even heard of Squirrelkin before, so I'm kind of playing this.
Well, they are brand new to this scenario. You don't worry about not having heard of them before.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at her as kind of Sandy the Squirrel from SpongeBob, but on a lot of caffeine. So she's going to be twitchy, extremely food motivated, and because of her Squirrelkin culture, she doesn't have a great grasp of personal possession when it comes to food. She's used to share and share alike, so if you're taking her through the marketplace on an adventure, you're gonna practically have to tie your hands together. She's got sleight of hand, stealth, acrobatics, and if she's moving in trees, I think she gets an extra move speed in trees.
I will double check the exacts on that, but yes, you do have a benefit.
No idea what weapons I'm going to use because we haven't gone shopping yet.
Equipment we can worry about in between sessions, I'm thinking. That's not something we have to spend a lot of time on tonight. What I want to... Jason, I should let you speak.
Yeah, so, I'm also trying to figure out this class. It looks very Gift-like at level 3. So I'll end up with medium armor and shields. So it sounds like I'm going to be standing in the front. So, as a bard, I'll have mostly support abilities. You'll see a lot of vicious mockery. That'll happen a lot. Hopefully, that'll keep us alive. And I'll probably just be using heroism a lot.
Okay.
So we can stand there and get hit.
Makes sense.
On the and then on the Gesh side, looks like I can take 10 minutes to store a spell into my sword, and then spend a reaction in battle to use it. So pretty nice. And yeah, the charisma to hit damage, and also I get martial and proficiency as well. So yeah. So and then from the bard point of view, skills maybe for them. I grabbed. What do I grab here? I grabbed religion, persuasion, perception, nature, intimidation, deception, and arcana. But we can swap those around for whatever we need. Like I can take. I might be the one to take the strength skills because why not? Or the strength skill, I should say. It's just athletics, right? So
Yeah, that's the only strength skill.
yeah. So at low levels, I'll probably be in the back with the rest of you guys throwing cantrips, and then hopefully by level 3, I can stand in the front.
All right. Thanks, everyone. The rest of the evening, and I don't think we'll spend too terribly long here tonight, but I'd like to start thinking about how you know each other, what your kind of more character background is. And I know we're kind of working in a vacuum, so it'll be a shared experience working together. What brings you to a copper mining town that's essentially at the borders of Fey, human, and dwarf land?
So I was looking through the backgrounds, and I really like, or the one that caught my eye was Haunted One, where I'm basically running from my past. That's what I've got so far. I'm going to kind of listen to what else is happening, and I'll see if I can hook into something.
Okay.
Haunted One is actually a really strong background. can be pretty good.
Now,
I'll be honest, I read the description and I was like, okay, some nice hooks in here.
hooks are always good. I do appreciate them. All right. Jen, you had Folk Hero, I believe, as your...
I'm just messing with my earbuds right now. Can you go to somebody else for a sec?
Sure. Connor.
Yeah, I had the charlatan background. Quite like Jason's character. I am also trying my past. So I had the concept of a gentleman who is um sort of from a family of charlatans, from a family of like con men, who kind of let a con get a bit too far, and in the last desperate hope of the career con men, he prayed for anyone to help. And wouldn't you know it, the goddess soon offered him an opportunity to see. She blessed him momentarily to allow him to make his escape from a number of gentlemen who were very angry and who definitely wanted his thumbs. Um, of course, you don't make a deal with a goddess and expect her to not get anything out of it. So he has been inadvertently turned into a cleric of Soon, with the understanding that now he has to use those abilities and his background to help people as opposed to just con them out of cash.
All right. That's definitely some cool stuff there. Jeff.
So the background I was looking at was Investigator City Watch. So essentially, he's a cop. I get the impression that everybody else in the party is the usual suspects that I would gather up, and I was doing an investigation.
That actually is a definite possible start.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah, I could definitely see my character going to your Jeff with trying to explain. Oh no, I'm turning over a new leaf. I want to use my powers for good now. No, seriously, I'm no, really.
I have a question for the GM here, or the DM system. How old do half elves get? Do they get older than humans?
I don't think they're going to have a really different lifespan than humans, given where elves came from in this world. But
here, I'll bring up the half elf details.
Well, the base ones aren't going to help you. The ones from the core book are just not going to be accurate.
Okay, well, if it's based on the core, it says they matured around age 20. They live longer than humans, however, often exceeding 180 years. So if any basis, then that might be the same in the world, but we'll have to ask the creator.
That is on the question list. How old do elves get?
Yeah, I assume, based on your description, I assume maybe a little bit longer than humans, but yeah.
I don't think their elves are going to be like these eternal...
Yeah.
They've total rewrite on the elves that's actually really interesting, but I'll try to learn more as we go. Jen, how's the sound issues going?
How's that? Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
100%.
Cool. I'm on the microphone off the webcam. Just had to go switchy. But yes, personalities. And what else were we asking about?
You had a folk hero background, I believe we designed for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm not really sure what it does mechanically because I'm still learning this stuff. But the way I looked at it as a folk hero, she's a little bit like the kind of squirrelkin other squirrelkin try and raise their kids to grow up like, or at least that's what she thinks.
What what land are we in? Are we in the human realm?
We are.
You said the human realm, right?
We're pretty much right on the border. Copperfield is not only a mining town but also a trade hub, small as it is, between human, dwarf, and fey realm.
Got it. Okay. Have there been any wars recently? Do you know?
I'm gonna take a quick break. Just gonna stop recording to check something. Now.
So yeah, do you know of any? Do you know if there's been any wars recently?
Not recently. We sort of got through the war to end all wars, and nothing major has happened since.
How long ago was that?
My feeling is quite some time.
Yeah, that's what I figured too.
How common are squirrelkin? Like, how are people going to react to me when we go into town?
Squirrelkin are actually widespread. That's the way I'd put it. Not necessarily like really populous, but they're all over the place. That was made clear in the background information. You're not going to get weird looks just for being there.
Those shopkeepers may, keep a close eye on their more affordable wares.
That is certainly a possibility. Yes. Your reputation might precede you.
So for languages, I took Common, Dwarven, Elvish, Goblin, and Sylvan, which seems to work because Fey would be Sylvan, right?
I'm going to... There's probably a Fey language, whether it's called that or not, so you can have something equivalent.
Okay.
There's a question. With my 16-inch, should I have more than just Common and Thieves'
No. Languages are based on race, background, things like that. They don't have anything to do with int. Int's actually a common dump stat because it, other than the investigation skill, the arcana, the int skills, it really has. And if you're an int-based caster, it really has no benefits.
Well, that's always good to hear that they want people to be playing dumb characters. I'd much rather have people playing unwise characters. They're way more fun.
Oh
yeah, my second worst stat is Wisdom at 10.
Okay. Well, do we want to start the scenario with you only not really familiar with each other and actually, meeting up in the city, the city jail, not necessarily under arrest, but possibly under suspicion?
That's interesting. Yeah.
Is this another Morrowind expansion?
No.
Could be. I do like to. I would like to at least know at least one other character before we get started, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it makes sense for us if we don't. We may not know everybody, but I think it always helps to have a previous kind of relationship with at least one other character, and kind of makes a bit more sense then for four people to kind of come together.
Well, do we want to make the City Watch character the linchpin between all the four of you?
That's what I'm thinking. How about I don't know enough about the background to figure out what my haunted past is, but I figure I rolled into town probably I've been around probably a couple of years now, and Jeff, your character, I'm basically working under you as like a deputy or something. But
okay,
I'm not particularly good at my job because my heart's definitely not into it. But I do reasonably well enough that I'm not going to get actively fired. But I'm definitely if someone is doing something that's not particularly legal, I'm like, whatever. It's not worth my time.
Makes sense. And well, you bring skills to it though with your persuasion and your intimidation and deception and whatnot.
Yeah, you figure I would actually be a good, I could be good at my job if I actually, tried. Yeah.
Now, if you guys are involved with the city watch, you most definitely would have run into me before.
Yeah, we probably arrested you on multiple occasions for theft.
Oh, probably lots of times, and every time I'm just innocent and confused, and well, okay, I have to pay for it. What? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not malicious about it, but yeah, you've probably been under arrest a couple times.
Now,
Yeah, but I'm a really good cook.
All right. You're free to go. Just keep bringing back those cookies.
now, would in your new role in life, Connor, would you perhaps be like ministering to prisoners and things like that, offering solace to those in the jail?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a little bit like that, but highly unlikely that I can't stay completely out of trouble. Probably using my my tricks to maybe con people who are perhaps more deserving of it these days. Sort of like bad bosses and wealthy men who skimp on their under dues, or helping people who are in a bad situation because of someone else's activities uh, or maybe their own stupidity, which would probably get him in some kind of mood of hot water, but certainly would cause him to cross paths with members of the city watch from time to time.
Another option is you could be part of the city watch. We don't know that you're actually conning people at the same time.
If I've moved to this place, that's a good question though. Whether
Doing stuff for you time and time again. Like
probably talk to you
obvious
into
stuff, probably.
just slightly legal, less than legal, uh, not illegal. Okay, well maybe a like misdemeanor,
Yeah.
but no full on like no real crimes.
Wisdom 10. Well, the bakery's got so much bread they need space to put out the fresh loaves, so you
Yeah,
should go grab a half a dozen.
yeah, yeah. It's not like you're doing a bad thing. I mean, those orphans just need a little extra bread.
Well, yeah, why shouldn't
God,
they have it?
yeah,
They don't have any.
God,
I'll get them some. Bye.
God told me to have you steal that bread.
Oh, don't say steal. I don't steal. I just, borrow.
Liberate.
Procure,
Use.
liberate.
All right, now let's talk questions. What are some other things that you want to know about the world, about what's currently going on? So we had talks about recent wars.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out some sort of dark past. I need a little more. I need a couple more hooks to work on.
Okay.
Yeah. And the age of half elves also. Yeah. Age of half elves and could a half elf have been alive during that war? Sounds like probably not.
Well, when it comes to being a folk hero, I may pester your bard to start recording my glorious deeds.
Uh-huh. I play drum, flute, and lyre, so.
Mm. Let's see.
All right. I'm gonna try to find out more about your god, Connor, and the others if I can.
I get an exotic language. Don't know if I'm just looking at the ones on D&D Beyond. It's like So let me just get to it. They have abyssal, deep speech, draconic, infernal, primordial, and undercommon. So
maybe you want troll or tengu.
okay.
Those would be exotic.
I feel like it would tie into whatever my past is.
Okay, we'll add that to the to figure out list. Great.
Yeah, I'd like to know a little more about half elves. Like, is there a stigma against them? How do elven and human cultures interact and whatnot?
Okay, good to know.
Do we know roughly what we're going to be doing in the campaign?
The campaign is... I haven't worked out the exact details, but there is going to be war. It looks like there'll be possibly a siege and possibly like an underground liberation stage.
So
It will
a lot of
be.
everything.
It will be a little bit of war, a little bit of commando stuff, and there is some pretty spiff magic tech that we haven't got a chance to look at yet that will come into play. If you thought the gunslingers were bad, wait till you see the tanks. Steam tank. We may get to that. We may. All right. Any more questions?
I guess. Is there any? Yeah, I guess knowing of any maybe sort of low-lying conflicts that might be happening in and around Copperfield. You said it's like it's on the border of like 3 different sort of like territories, right? Like
Yes, it
sort of
is.
in
It is.
oh.
Yes, and if you've all been there a while, I will have more information about the city itself to share. All right, this has been our experimental night 1, or night 0 as the case may be. So let's hope everything's gone according to plan, technologically as well as thematically. And we will meet next time and get underway.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
And we will see
All
you
right.
soon.
Good.
See you guys.
Yeah,
Take care.
it was a good session. Thanks.
Bye.